Hello class 10th. We have started with chapter number 14, statistics from your NCERT textbook. We have learned how to find out the mean, mode and median for grouped data. We are left with a couple of questions from exercise 14.3, and before we do that, I want you to note down a relationship between the three measures of central tendency. This is called the empirical relationship between the three measures of central tendency. So between the mean, represented by x bar, the mode, which is represented by capital Z, and the median, which is represented by capital M. This is given by 3 times the median minus 2 times the mean equals to mode. Now this formula as such can be used in questions where you need to find out all the three measures of central tendency, and there are many such questions in exercise 14.3 where you have to find out the mean, median and mode for the grouped data given. In that case, it's better to find out two of the values and use the two values here in this formula to find out the third value. For example, you could find out the mean and the mode because they can be easily calculated, and then use the values of mean and mode here and then calculate median from here. But the fact is, you need to learn this by heart so that you can use it correctly. The second place where you could use this formula is in 1 mark questions. Sometimes you've been given two of the three measures, means out of mean, median and mode, you could be given any two. You have to find out the third value without providing you with the set of data, without the class intervals or the frequencies. So in that case, you use this formula to find out the missing value. Now, apart from this, let us take up the questions which are left from exercise 14.3. Question number 2. Question number 2 says, if the median of the distribution is given. So this is what the question is. There is a table containing some class intervals and the frequencies. The median of the distribution is 28.5. Find the values of x and y. X and y are a couple of missing frequencies. The total of the frequencies is also given. So let us see how we have to do this question. Note down the table first of all in your notebooks and proceed with the steps you would normally follow to find out the median. So let's note down the classes. The classes are 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, and then frequencies which are represented by F are given as 5, X, 20, 15, Y and 5, and the total is given as 60. So to find out the median, the first step is to find out the cumulative frequency. So let's find out the cumulative frequency for the first class. It is 5. Then we keep on adding these. Here we add the 2. So 5 plus x. Now to 5 plus x add 20. So this becomes 25 plus x. To this value add this 15. So this becomes 40 plus x. Now add y. 40 plus x plus y. Now add this last 5 here. So 45 plus x plus y. So this is the final cumulative frequency. Usually we are able to cross check here. The final cumulative frequency is same as the total of the frequencies. So in this particular question we cannot verify. You would know that this is correct only once you calculate your answer. So as for now, we assume that the final frequency is equal to 60. So this is what we get. 45 plus x plus y should be equal to 60. This is equation number 1. Simplifying, x plus y comes out to be 15. So let's keep it as number 1 for the time being and work out our steps further. Once we have calculated the cumulative frequency, the next step is to find out the median class. The median class is calculated by dividing the number of frequencies by 2. So total number of observation is halved. And then we see where does that half of the observations lie in the cumulative frequency. But in this case, we are not doing that. What we are going to do is, we are going to use what's given to us. We've been given that median is 28.5. This is given to us. So now it's time to use this fact that the median is 28.5. Since the median is 28.5, median is a value from the observations. The observations are put in the form of these class intervals. So this value is a value somewhere in these classes. We have to identify that class. It's very easy. 28.5 will belong to which class interval? It belongs to the class 20 to 30. This value will be somewhere here, right? So this is the median class. So you don't have to go for n by 2 to find out the median class. You can simply calculate which class will be the median class by looking at the median itself. So the median class is 20 to 30. Once you have obtained the median class, the next step is to apply the formula. Let's apply the formula for the median. Median is given by m equals to L, the lower limit of the median class, plus n by 2 minus cumulative frequency of the previous class, frequency of the median class in the denominator, multiplied by class size. And this is the part which we solve first. So before I substitute the values, let me write down the values on a side. What do I have here? So lower limit of the median class is 20. N by 2. N is the total of the observations. So this will be 60 by 2. This will be 30. Cumulative frequency of previous class. So the median class is this. So this is the median class. We will be using its frequency, but the cumulative frequency will be used from the previous class. So 5 plus x. Then frequency of the median class. Median class is this. Its frequency is 20. Now the class size is 10. Let's use the values here and solve. We've been given the median as well. So we will be substituting all the values here which are provided to us. So median is 28.5. Using the value of L, 20 plus n by 2 is 30 minus the cumulative frequency is 5 plus x over frequency of the median class is 20 into the class size is 10. Solve. This gets cancelled. I'm transposing this 20 to the other side. 28.5 minus 20 equals to, I'm left with this bracket on the right hand side. So this becomes 30 minus opening the bracket over 2. So this becomes 8.5. Let's transpose this 2 to the other side. It will be multiplied over here. On this side, this becomes 25 minus x. Solving, I get 17 equals to 25 minus x. Let's transpose x here. It will become positive. 17 to the right. X comes out to be 8. Now use this value in equation number 1. Equation number 1 was x plus y equals to 15, which we obtained by using the total of the frequencies. The total of the frequencies was 60, which should be equal to this. We obtained this equation. Now we are going to use the value of x here and find y. So 8 plus y equals to 15. Y comes out to be 7. So we have the missing frequencies. X is 8 and y is 7. This is your answer for question number 2 of this exercise. Now before we proceed with question number 3 of the exercise, there is something we need to note down. Another note: the normal frequency distribution which is given to us for grouped data, we refer to it as a normal frequency distribution. In the terms of a layman, it would mean a distribution in which you can see the class intervals and the frequencies. Let me write down one such example for you. Let us consider you've been given the classes as 0 to 50, 50 to 100, 100 to 150, 150 to 200, 200 to 250, 250 to 300, and then 300 to 350. These are the classes, and for these classes we've been given the frequency respective 2, 3, 5, 6, 5, 3 and 1. So this is the frequency given for these classes. Now this type of a distribution is known as a normal frequency distribution. So for yourself you can write down that this is a normal frequency distribution. Now this normal frequency distribution can be converted into two types of special frequency distributions. Those two special frequency distributions depend on the fact that how do we calculate the cumulative frequency. So from this frequency, once we obtain the cumulative frequency, it can be done in two ways, and those two ways actually give you two different types of frequency distributions. So your normal frequency distribution, it can be converted into two types of frequency distributions, and those frequency distributions are actually cumulative frequency distributions. One is the less than type cumulative frequency distribution, and the other one is more than type cumulative frequency distribution. I know there will be various words used for this. Less than type would also mean below, and more than type could be above. Now where do the words come from? The words actually come from the way the class intervals are formed. Now this is an exclusive form of classes. Exclusive form means the upper limit is not included in the class. When we say the class interval is 0 to 50, so it will contain values beginning from 0, but they will remain below 50. The value 50 will be counted in the next class interval. In this class interval, values will be counted from 50 onwards. 100 will not be taken here. 100 will be included in the next class. So the upper limits are excluded from the class. So this is exclusive form of classes. Now what we do is, if we are converting this normal frequency distribution into less than type frequency distribution, this is done using upper limits. So the values which are less than these upper limits, and the more than type is done using lower limits. Let us convert these and then you'll be able to understand. So what we want to do is, instead of the classes, the heading becomes less than, and we use upper limits. So less than, ignore your lower limits, just take the upper limits. So less than 50, then less than, the next is 100, then so on, less than, only the upper limits will be taken here. 150, less than 200, less than 250, less than 300, and less than 350. And for this we shall be writing down the cumulative frequency. Now if we had to write down a more than type, what would it be? This would be more than or equal to. Since we are using the lower limits are included, so we are taking the word equal and use the lower limits. So we will be using these now: 0, 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300. So we have more than or equal to 0, more than or equal to, the next lower limit is 50, more than or equal to 100, more than or equal to 150, more than or equal to 200, more than or equal to 250, more than or equal to 300. And for the same we shall be writing down cumulative frequency. Now what this means is, if we have been given that these number of observations belong to these class intervals, there are 2 observations in the class 0 to 50, 3 observations in the class interval 50 to 100, 5 observations in the class interval 100 to 150. So when we are going to write it in this form, this means I want to know how many observations are less than 50. So the observations which are less than 50 are 2. So this will be 2. Then the observations which are less than 100. So these 2 groups, the values which are less than 100, the values belonging to this class as well as the values belonging to this class, both type of observations will have a value less than 100. So this means this will be 2 plus 3, which is 5. Further, we want to know how many observations are there which are less than 150. So below 150, we will have these 3 classes. So all these observations will have a value below 150. So this becomes 5 plus 5 equals to 10. You can observe. So these 2 values, they have a value. These 2 observations have value less than 50. These 3 observations have a value between 50 to 100, but together these 5 observations, their value will be less than 100. Together the value of these observations, 2, 3, 5, total 10 observations, would be less than 150. So till here all these observations will have a value less than 200. Then from the beginning up to here, these observations will have value less than 250, so on till the end when we are counting all the values up to the end. So till here, when we have counted all observations, their values are below 350. So this is what we are going to do here. So keep on adding your frequencies and obtain the cumulative frequencies. So we are adding downwards. We start from here and we keep on adding and reach the end. So 10 plus the next observation is 6. The next frequency is 6. This becomes 16. Adding next frequency to 16, 21. Adding next frequency is 24. Then adding the next frequency is 25. Now we need to check that this is the total of all frequencies. So let's check whether the total is 25 or not. From here, 5, 10, 16, 21, 24 and 25. Yes. So summation F or capital N is 25. From here we have the same total. So this is fine. Now the second way we can write down a cumulative frequency distribution is more than type. So more than type is, I want to know how many observations are there whose value is more than 0, more than or equal to 0. How many observations are there whose value is equal to 50 or more than 50? How many observations are there whose value is 100 or more than 100? How many observations are there whose value is 150 or more than 150? To do this, what we do is we start from the bottom. We start from here and we go towards the top. So the number of observations whose value is more than 300 belong to this group. So there is only one observation whose value is 300 or equal to 300 in this range. So for this it will be 1. Then values equal to 250 or more than 250. So the observations whose value is 250 will be here. More than 250 will either be in this class or in this class. So 1 and 3, these 4 observations. Number of observations whose value is 250 or more than 250 will belong either to this group or to this group. So that means there are 4 observations who have a value equal to 250 or more than 250. Then the next thing we want to take is the number of observations which have a value 200 or more than 200. So the observation which have a frequency 200 will be here in this class, and the ones which have a value more than 200 will be here, here or here. So these 3 together, so 1 plus 3 plus 5, this will be 9. Then so and for 150, the values, observations with values equal to 150 will be in this class interval, or the values or the observations whose value is more than 150 will either be in this class or in the next one, in this one or in this one. So these 4 class intervals contain observations having a value equal to 150 or more than 150. So adding all these frequencies, 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 6, this is 15. Then keep on adding towards the top. 15. Let's add the next frequency, which is 5. This is 20. Then adding 3. This is 23. Then 23 plus 2 is 25. And finally, we reach the total. So for less than type, you start from here, go towards the end. The total is obtained at the end. Whereas for a more than type, you start from the bottom, keep on adding towards the top, and the total is obtained here. So these are the 2 types of cumulative frequency distributions obtained from a normal frequency distribution. Since we can convert a normal frequency distribution into cumulative frequency distributions, we can do the other way around as well. This is what is needed in question number 3 before you find out the median for the class. Now let us see how we convert these cumulative frequency distributions to a normal frequency distributions. For this, I'm taking the question from the book. So question number 3, you've been given age in years along with number of policy holders. This is below 20, below 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. The number of policy holders is 2, 6, 24, 45, 78, 89, 92, 58, 98, 100. Now when you look at a frequency distribution in which these words are used, below, so this indicates that this is not normal frequency distribution. This is a cumulative frequency distribution. So what we want to do is we want to convert into normal frequency distribution. And for this, what we are going to do is we shall be making class intervals with the help of these. So let's make the class intervals and then we obtain the frequency. So once we have identified that this is a cumulative frequency distribution, that means depending on what word is used here. Below means this is less than type. Less than type uses upper limits. So this means all these values, these are the upper limits of our class intervals, which we will make in a normal frequency distribution. Second thing, since because of the words used here, below 20, below 25, below 30, we identified that this is a cumulative frequency distribution. This means that these are cumulative frequencies and these are the upper limits. If instead of below it was above or equal to, then these would be lower limits. But on this side we have the cumulative frequencies. Now we shall use these upper limits and cumulative frequency, obtain classes and frequency. For this, the first thing we want to do is we want to identify the class size. The class size will be identified by looking at the difference in the upper limits. So the upper limits are at a difference of 5. So this is just for your reference. Since the upper limits, these upper limits have a difference of 5, therefore the class size is 5. We will not change the first class, we will just keep it the way it is, because its age in years below 20 is possible. There are so many values possible and we don't want to create a class on our own. But for the next class interval, we start from here. This is the upper limit. It becomes the lower limit for the next class, 20 to 25. Keeping in mind that the class size is 5, 25 to 30, 30 to 35, and we go up to the upper class limit 60. (45 to 50, 50 to 55, 55 to 60). This is the last upper limit as per the table given. Now it's time to obtain the frequencies with the help of this. So this is very simple. To obtain cumulative frequency, what we do is we keep on adding the next frequency. And here what we will do is keep the first frequency same, and for the remaining classes, to obtain the frequency, subtract the two consecutive ones. So the first one will be same. The first cumulative frequency is 2. This remains same. This becomes 2. For the next one, subtract the two consecutive ones. 2 and 6. Larger minus the smaller. So 6 minus 2 is 4. Then subtract these two. The next two, 6 and 24. This is 18. Subtract the next two, 24 and 75. This will be 21. Then subtract the next two, 78 and 45. This will be 33. Now the next two, subtracting, this is 11. Subtracting the next two, this is 3. The next two, it is 6. And then the next two, it is 2. The total of these should match the last cumulative frequency. So let's see if the total matches this last cumulative frequency. 2 and 4 is 6, 8, 14, 15, 18, 19, 22, 28 and 30, 3 carried over, 4, 5, 6, 9 and 10. So this is 100, which matches the total here, there. Now you could also cross check by calculating the cumulative frequencies from here. So if you want to check the cumulative frequencies, the first will be 2, then it will be 6, adding 18, 24. So we keep adding. So 2 as such, 2 plus 4 is 6, 6 plus 18 is 24, 24 plus 21 is 45, 45 and 33 is 78, 78 and 11 is 89, 89 and 3 is 92, 92 and 6 is 98, and 98 and 2 is 100, and these two match. After this, to find out the median, the next step is to find out n by 2. N by 2 is 100 by 2. This is 50. It belongs to cumulative frequency, which is the next highest for 50, is 78. Therefore, the median class is 35 to 40. And then you can apply the formula for the median. Using the respective values, the lower limit is 35, n by 2 is 50, minus the cumulative frequency of the previous class is 45, frequency of the median class is 33, into the class size is 5. Solve and obtain your answer for the median. So solving, I get this. Let's solve it further. 35 plus 25 by 33. So this is approximately 0.75. So the answer is 35.75. That's your answer.